Hey everyone, welcome back. It's time for another deep dive.
Yep.
And today we're taking a close look at ARK Invest's Big Ideas 2025 report.
Yeah, this report is jam-packed with predictions about the future. And honestly, it's a bit mind-blowing. The rate of technological advancement right now is just incredible.
Totally agree. It's like we're living in a sci-fi movie sometimes. The report really emphasizes how all these disruptive technologies are converging and kind of feeding off each other.
Exactly. And they use a fascinating analogy to illustrate this point, the second half of the chessboard.
Yeah, that caught my attention too. What's the chessboard analogy all about?
Well, think about how a chessboard works. Every time you move to the next square, the number of grains of wheat doubles.
Right. Okay, I follow you. So it starts slow, but then...
Things get crazy on the second half of the board.
Yeah.
Just like those grains of wheat, computational power is increasing at an accelerating rate.
So we're at that point now where things are about to explode.
We're on the cusp of some truly transformative breakthroughs. And it's not just about individual technologies, it's about how they're all interconnected.
Right. The report talks a lot about convergence, how different fields are influencing and accelerating each other.
Yeah. And they measure this convergence through something called network density, which has actually increased by 30% the past year alone. Think of it like a city with roads and bridges connecting everything.
The more connections you have, the more efficiently things run.
Precisely. And the report highlights neural networks as a powerful example.
Neural networks, those are kind of like the brains of AI, right?
You could say that. They're driving massive advancements in all sorts of fields, like next-gen cloud computing, intelligent devices, even things like autonomous vehicles and precision medicine.
Wow, it seems like neural networks are at the heart of this tech revolution.
They're a crucial catalyst. And one of the most interesting areas where we're seeing this convergence play out is in the rise of AI agents.
Now you're talking my language, AI agents. That sounds futuristic. Break it down for me.
Think of them as really advanced digital assistants like Siri or Alexa on steroids.
Haha, okay, I'm intrigued. So what can these AI agents do that's so special?
Well, they can understand what you mean through natural language. They can plan actions based on context, execute tasks, and they're constantly learning and improving.
So it's like having a personal assistant who's always getting smarter and can handle increasingly complex tasks.
Exactly. And the report predicts that OpenAI, the company behind some of these AI agents, could hit $10 billion in revenue by 2025.
Wow, that's huge. That's even faster than how Facebook and Instagram grew in their early years.
It just goes to show how quickly this technology is being adopted. And for good reason, AI agents have the potential to revolutionize how we interact with technology and how businesses operate.
I can see that they could personalize consumer experiences, automate tasks, streamline workflows. It's all very exciting. But also a bit daunting to think about the potential impact on jobs and the economy.
It's definitely a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
But the report emphasizes that AI agents could also create new jobs and opportunities. We just need to be prepared for the shift.
That makes sense. So AI agents are definitely something to watch closely.
Okay, we've talked about the rapid pace of technological advancement and the convergence of different fields. What else does the report highlight?
Well, it dives into Bitcoin, which, as you know, hit an all-time high in 2024. The report highlights some of the key events that shaped the Bitcoin landscape over the past year.
Like what? What happened in the world of Bitcoin that's worth noting?
Well, for one, we saw the launch of spot Bitcoin ETFs in the US. That was a game changer for institutional investors who were previously hesitant to jump into the crypto market.
Right. And the report says this was the most successful ETF launch ever. It brought in over $4 billion on its first day of trading. That's incredible.
It's a clear signal of the growing mainstream acceptance of Bitcoin. The report also discusses Ethereum's Denkin upgrade, which aimed to improve scalability and efficiency.
And of course, there was Bitcoin's fourth halving, right?
Yes, that's right. The halving, which is a pre-programmed event that reduces the rate at which new Bitcoins are created, dropped the inflation rate of Bitcoin below that of gold. So even with all the volatility, the report emphasizes that Bitcoin's risk-adjusted returns still outperform most traditional asset classes.
And with more and more public companies like MicroStrategy and Tesla holding Bitcoin on their balance sheets, it's becoming increasingly difficult to ignore its potential.
Speaking of digital currencies, the report also delves into the world of stablecoins. I know they've been making headlines lately with their explosive growth.
It's fascinating. While the world seems to be trending towards deglobalization and moving away from the US dollar, the digital asset space is experiencing the opposite, a surge in stablecoinization and dollarization.
So what's driving this trend?
Well, stablecoins, as their name suggests, are designed to maintain a stable value, often pegged to the US dollar. This stability makes them attractive for various uses, from cross-border payments to everyday transactions.
And the report says that dollar-pegged stablecoins now make up over 98% of the total stablecoin supply.
It's a bit ironic, isn't it? Even as some countries seek alternatives to the dollar, stablecoins, which are often backed by U.S. treasuries, are actually fueling demand for U.S. government debt. It's a complex and evolving dynamic.
That's really interesting. It sounds like stablecoins are creating a whole new layer within the global financial system.
They certainly are. And one company that's making waves in this space is Athena Labs. The report highlights their innovative approach to stablecoin design and governance. They've managed to attract $6 billion in total value locked within their first year of operation.
Wow, that's a lot of value locked in. So it seems like the world of digital currencies is rapidly expanding and evolving, with both Bitcoin and stablecoins playing significant roles.
Absolutely. But it's not just about currencies. The report also focuses on the infrastructure that underpins these digital assets, particularly the need for scaling blockchains. This is crucial for the wider adoption of decentralized finance, or DeFi.
So what are the key developments in blockchain scaling that the report highlights?
Ethereum's recent EIP 48844 upgrade is a big step forward. It's designed to dramatically increase transaction speeds, paving the way for potentially handling hundreds of thousands of transactions per second.
That's a huge jump from the current rate.
It is. The report also mentions that while Layer 2 solutions are already handling a growing portion of Ethereum transactions, alternative blockchains like Solana and Base are emerging as strong contenders. They're attracting developers and gaining mindshare in the DeFi space.
So it's a competitive landscape with different approaches to scaling vying for dominance. What's the report's take on the potential of decentralized exchanges, or DEXs?
It points out that DEXs are proving to be incredibly efficient, often 5 to 10 times more so than centralized exchanges, and they do this with a fraction of the staff. It's a fascinating example of how decentralized systems can disrupt traditional financial models.
This is all really intriguing. The report covers so much ground. From AI agents to Bitcoin to the evolution of stablecoins and the scaling of blockchains, it's clear that we're witnessing a period of rapid innovation across multiple fronts. What really jumps out at you from all of this?
What strikes me the most is the sheer speed of these developments. It's like we're watching the future unfold in real time, and the potential implications are enormous, both for individual industries and for society as a whole.
It's almost overwhelming, isn't it? Trying to keep up with all these advancements and understand what they mean for our lives. But that's what we're here for, right? To dive deep and try to make sense of it all.
That's exactly right. And while the report focuses on the year 2025, I think the true impact of these converging technologies will be felt even more strongly in the decades to come. So buckle up. We're just getting started.
It really feels like we're on the cusp of something massive with all these technological advancements happening at once. And you're right, even though the report is focused on 2025, the ripple effects will likely be felt far beyond that. But with all this talk about exciting advancements, are there any concerns or challenges that the report flags?
You bring up a good point. It's easy to get caught up in the excitement, but the report does acknowledge that there are potential downsides to consider as well. For instance, one area where we're seeing both challenges and opportunities is in the energy sector. The shift towards renewable energy is well underway, but there are still hurdles to overcome.
Yeah, like the fact that solar and wind power aren't always consistent. The sun doesn't always shine, the wind doesn't always blow. So how do we address that reliability issue?
That's where advancements in energy storage, particularly battery technology, come into play. As battery costs continue to decline, we could see a significant shift towards more resilient and sustainable energy systems.
So imagine a world where we can store excess energy generated from renewable sources and then tap into that reserve when needed. That would be a game changer.
Exactly. And the report highlights a rather interesting case study, Bitcoin mining.
Bitcoin mining? What does that have to do with renewable energy?
Well, Bitcoin mining is incredibly energy intensive, but its business model is quite different from traditional power generation. It's not tied to a specific location or time of day.
So Bitcoin miners can essentially set up shop anywhere there's access to energy, regardless of whether it's from a traditional power plant or a solar farm in the middle of the desert.
Precisely. This makes it uniquely suited to support the integration of renewable energy sources into the grid.
Because they can act as a flexible demand source, soaking up excess power when it's abundant and scaling back when it's not.
You got it. And as the adoption of renewables accelerates and battery technology improves, energy-intensive industries like Bitcoin mining could actually become key players in creating a more stable and sustainable energy future.
That's a really interesting perspective. It seems like these converging technologies have the potential to not only create new industries, but also address some of the world's most pressing challenges.
Absolutely. From climate change to healthcare to even economic inequality, these innovations could contribute to a more sustainable and equitable world. But realizing that potential will require careful planning, smart regulations, and a willingness to embrace change.
Speaking of change, one area where we're bound to see significant transformation is in the workforce. As AI and automation become increasingly sophisticated, many jobs currently done by humans could become automated.
That's right. The report discusses how humanoid robots are becoming increasingly capable of performing tasks that were once thought to be exclusive to humans.
Like, what kind of tasks are we talking about here? Give me some examples.
Think manufacturing, customer service, even healthcare. Humanoid robots are poised to disrupt a wide range of industries.
It's a fascinating paradox. On one hand, these advancements could lead to greater productivity and economic growth. But on the other hand, there are valid concerns about job displacement and potential social unrest.
The report acknowledges these concerns and emphasizes the need for policies that support workers who might be displaced by automation.
So things like retraining programs and a focus on developing skills that complement AI and robotics.
Exactly. It will require a fundamental shift in how we think about education and workforce development. We need to prepare people for the jobs of the future, not the jobs of the past.
So we need to focus on fostering creativity, critical thinking, and adaptability skills that will be valuable in a world where automation is becoming more prevalent.
That's a great way to put it. It's a call to action for policymakers, educators, and businesses to collaborate and ensure that the benefits of these technological advancements are shared widely.
And that we avoid the potential pitfalls of unchecked automation. It's a complex issue with no easy answers, but I think the report does a good job of highlighting the potential for both progress and peril.
It underscores the fact that we're not just passive bystanders in this technological revolution. We have the power to shape how these innovations are developed and used. The choices we made today will determine what kind of future we create.
So as we delve deeper into these specific technologies and their potential impact, let's shift gears and talk about one that's been generating a lot of buzz: robotaxis. The report suggests they have the power to completely change personal transportation.
You're absolutely right. Despite a recent slowdown in the growth of electric vehicles, overall, autonomous electric vehicles, particularly robotaxis, are poised to significantly disrupt personal mobility.
In what ways? Paint me a picture of how robotaxis could change things.
Imagine a world where you don't need to own a car. Instead, you simply summon a robotaxi using an app, and it arrives at your doorstep ready to take you wherever you need to go.
That sounds incredibly convenient, but what about the cost? Would it be affordable for the average person?
That's where it gets really interesting. ARK Invest predicts that at scale, robotaxis could cost as little as $0.25 per mile. That's significantly cheaper than owning and operating a personal vehicle.
Wow. When you factor in gas insurance maintenance and parking, robotaxis start to look like a really attractive option. But what about safety? Are these self-driving cars really safe enough to be on the roads?
There are definitely still concerns about safety, but companies like Waymo are making significant strides. Their commercial robotaxi service has already logged over 400,000 miles between police-reported collisions. That's a pretty impressive safety record.
That does sound reassuring. And the report mentions another potential player in this space, Tesla's Cybercab.
That's right. The Cybercab, projected to cost under $15,000 and benefit from declining battery costs, could become a major competitor in the robotaxi market. It's clear that the future of transportation is going to look very different from what we're used to.
Okay, so robotaxis could revolutionize transportation, making it more affordable, accessible, and potentially even safer. But let's dive into another area where technology is poised to have a major impact: healthcare. The report talks about the rise of multiomics and its potential to unlock groundbreaking advancements. What exactly is multiomics, and why is it so significant?
Multiomics is a fascinating field that's all about understanding the interconnectedness of different biological systems. It involves analyzing various types of biological data, DNA, RNA, proteins, and even digital health data to gain a more comprehensive view of health and disease.
So it's like looking at the human body through a much wider lens rather than focusing on just one aspect like genetics or protein expression.
Exactly. And thanks to advancements in technology, particularly in computational power and data analysis, we're now able to generate and analyze massive amounts of biological data more efficiently than ever before.
The report mentions a pretty incredible statistic about this. The compute time needed to analyze a human genome has dropped from 180 days to less than 10 minutes since 2001.
That's a mind-blowing leap in efficiency. This increased speed and the rapidly declining costs of sequencing are enabling breakthroughs like minimal residual disease or MRD testing.
MRD testing, I'm not familiar with that. What is it?
It's a revolutionary approach to cancer detection. Imagine a test that can spot tiny traces of cancer cells in the body, even when traditional methods can't detect them. MRD testing can detect cancer recurrence up to 20 months earlier than conventional methods.
Wow, that's a game changer for cancer patients. Detecting cancer early dramatically increases the chances of successful treatment.
Precisely. And the report goes on to explore the potential of AI-driven drug development, which could reduce the time it takes to bring new drugs to market by nearly 40% and slash development costs by fourfold.
That's incredible. So AI could help us develop life-saving drugs faster and make them more affordable. That's a huge win for patients and for the healthcare industry as a whole. What other exciting developments are on the horizon in the world of multiomics?
The potential is truly vast. Imagine personalized medicine becoming the norm. With treatments tailored to an individual's unique genetic makeup and lifestyle, we could potentially prevent diseases before they even manifest or detect them at the earliest stages when they're most treatable.
It sounds like science fiction, but it's quickly becoming reality. But with all these groundbreaking advancements in healthcare, are there any potential ethical or societal implications we need to consider?
That's a very important question.
Okay.
While the potential benefits of these technologies are enormous, it's crucial that we develop and deploy them responsibly, ensuring equitable access and addressing any unforeseen consequences.
So we need to be mindful of things like potential biases and algorithms, disparities in access to these advanced technologies, and the ethical implications of things like genetic screening and editing.
Exactly. We need to have open and honest conversations about these issues to ensure that we're using these powerful tools for good. But for now, let's shift gears again and explore another area where technology is poised to have a profound impact to the world of finance.
Yeah, the world of finance is ripe for disruption. It seems like DeFi is all the rage these days.
It definitely is. The report really digs into the potential of decentralized finance, and it's fascinating stuff.
Remind me again what DeFi is all about?
Well, essentially it's about recreating financial services, but without the need for traditional intermediaries, like banks.
Okay, so cutting out the middleman. What are the advantages of that?
Lots of potential advantages. One of the biggest is transparency.
Because with blockchain, everything's out in the open.
Right, exactly. Much harder for fraud or manipulation to occur. Another key advantage is accessibility. DeFi platforms could provide financial services to people who are currently excluded from the traditional system.
So people in developing countries or those without access to banks could benefit?
Precisely. It's about empowering individuals and giving them more control over their finances.
Makes sense. The report mentions that the total value locked in DeFi protocols has grown like crazy, reaching trillions of dollars.
It's a sign that DeFi is gaining some serious traction. But of course, with any new technology, there are risks and challenges.
What kind of risks are we talking about?
Well, regulatory uncertainty is a big one.
Yeah.
Governments around the world are still trying to figure out how to regulate this space.
Yeah, it's a whole new frontier. So it'll take time for regulations to catch up.
And then there's the issue of security vulnerabilities. DeFi platforms are built on open source software, which means they can be targets for hackers.
We've already seen some cases where millions of dollars have been stolen from DeFi protocols.
Right. Unfortunately, yes.
Uh-huh.
So security is something that needs to be addressed as DeFi continues to evolve.
But despite these challenges, the report seems pretty optimistic about the future of DeFi. What's your take?
I think DeFi has the potential to fundamentally change the financial industry. It's still early days, but the underlying technology is powerful, and the use cases are growing rapidly.
Definitely a space worth watching. Well, we've covered a ton of ground today, from AI agents to Bitcoin stablecoins, robotaxis, multiomics, and now DeFi. It's clear that technology is advancing at an unprecedented pace.
It's mind-blowing to think about all the possibilities, and also a bit overwhelming to try to keep up with it all.
Right, but that's what we're here for, to explore these ideas and try to make sense of it all. So as we wrap up this deep dive into ARK Invest's Big Ideas 2025 report, any final thoughts for our listeners?
I just say this, the future is not something that happens to us. It's something we create. And these emerging technologies are giving us the tools to shape that future in ways we never thought possible.
Well said. I couldn't agree more. A huge thank you to our expert for sharing their insights today, and to our listeners. Thanks for tuning in. We encourage you to keep exploring these topics and to think critically about how these advancements might impact your own lives. Until next time, stay curious and keep innovating.